Simon Woodhouse is restoring Keryl, a classic wooden racing yacht which he wants to sail around the world.
I'd like to single-hand across an ocean, and that's as loose as the dream is.
He bought her for £18,000 and wanted to travel the world as a chef.
I bought my dream boat, I spent my money, I'd gone and jumped in with 2 feet and borrowed some cash to do it.
But then he discovered the boat had a serious structural problem and his dream evaporated.
It was destroyed. It's a huge project, bigger than I ever intended it to be.
Since then, and with limited previous experience, he's taken it upon himself to repair the boat before the end of summer.
Now it's a case of, right, you take this out, you put that in, you screw it together again, you fix it. OK, there's lots of it.
But the more work he does, the more problems he finds.
Project's getting harder, more work than I thought. I'm a nice galley's going to have to come out, so...
And he's in danger of losing touch with the outside world.
It has taken over his life at the moment. There's no doubt about that.
But Simon has a deadline to finish the boat, and if he doesn't get it back in the water before the end of summer, he'll have to wait another year.
I think the driving reason for completing, for working hard enough to do it, was just the simple fact that I said I would.
And over the next couple of months, he's going to need all the help he can find to get his dream back on track. When I first visited Simon, we established that the main problem with Keryl was rotting frames and corroded ironwork. Since then, he's been replacing the frames using a lamination method. Rather than fitting solid oak frames, Simon's using laminated strips of hardwood by gluing them together and fixing them in place.
It's Friday, end of the first week of June. It's the 10th, I think. And I'd always said I needed to get the frames and the timbers in place in the month of June and the planks on in July, and then I'd be OK. But just going through a point where the project seems to be slipping away a little bit.
Simon's also had new iron floor frames made that will replace the old corroded ones.
What we did, we took out the old one, the rusty old one, laid it on the bench, measured it exactly, and then Roger brought in the components, cut them to size, tacked it up, welded it, and that's been epoxy coated now, 2-pack epoxy coated, and it's going to drop straight in. So again, freedom, I can get on with building now.
But at the moment, he's doing everything on his own. And in order to get this project finished in time, he's going to need extra hands.
These timbers in. I've got a shipwright going to start with. I found a good shipwright, came recommended. I know from the yard now. Pleasant older guy who knows wooden boats. So that's an extra pair of hands I need to get these timbers bent in. So that's good. I've got the right guy slotted in to come and give the project a kick at the backside, as it were.
Now that Simon's got much needed help, things are moving on quickly. And as he continues to fit the new frames, a comfortable working rhythm is emerging.
Come on, baby. Did we get it? No more. Oh, yeah. Slippery when wet, eh? Yeah. What I'm learning all the time working with Dick is the method. I see how he's doing it, I keep my eyes open and watching. He's got the skills, I'm trying to learn them. You start off with a method, you tweak it, you play with it, you reinvent the wheel again. By the time we finish this, we might know what we're doing.
With the job stacking up, Simon's having to manage the project from all angles.
I wish I'd ordered the materials sooner than I had. Now it's a case of companies giving me quotations and I've got lead times and I can't just go and buy it. I've got to work out what I need and get it delivered. And that slowed things down.
And the costs for these materials are mounting up.
Finances are gone. Finances are shot through the roof. But I don't even want to look at my bank account anymore. It's scary.
However, Simon has managed to sell his smaller boat, although his MG is still sitting in the driveway.
I'd always intended to fix the MG and sell the MG. Didn't happen, just didn't have time, had to fix the boat. The project on the boat grid is such a size that it was 100% on the boat.
And it's meant that he's had to flog some of his old marine junk at a boat jumble. At the moment, every penny counts. The upshot of this is that Simon's life seems to revolve entirely around the boat.
Because even when I'm at work, I'm rushing through work to get back to the boat. I'm rushing through life to get back to the boat. Everything is about finding the cash, or finding the time, or driving off like a mad thing to go get the new rivets, or to go get the new bit of wood, or to go get stuff for this bloody boat.
So at the moment, Simon is beginning to wonder if his dream will ever be realised.
I really couldn't tell anyone if it is going to float in August yet, which is a tricky place to be.
Aware that Simon was perhaps struggling a little, I decided to pay him a visit to catch up and see how things were going. It's all been happening here, Simon.
Yeah, welcome back, welcome back.
Unbelievable. Looking around at all this, do you know what my first reaction is? How lovely to see the boat as she really is.
A true shape.
Yeah. Isn't that a wonderful sight, looking up there? It's just great to see these going back in, and they look rock solid.
Yeah.
But, God, you've done some work, Simon. Congratulations.
I'm not quite sure.
Can't believe it's only a month since I've been here. And look at all this.
6 weeks.
It's all happening, isn't it? I was particularly impressed with Simon's craftsmanship.
This has allowed us to do it.
Replacing frames is not an easy business, and for someone who hasn't done it before, Simon has really excelled.
Now, people have questioned why I've done this method of building up layers of wood. You'll never get the sort of the stiffness from this being bent back in if you do it. I don't believe anyway.
And I suppose that's the beauty of laminating the frame, isn't
it? I think I always knew that I didn't want to break this build string.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So this has allowed us to do it. The only other way to do it with solid timbers would have been to have a piece of solid up to here, then a scarf joint, then another piece into here so it gets behind the bend, then a scarf joint. And this is a stronger method.
So much better. You know, to be fair, you not being a boat builder, it's a much more accessible method for somebody who's a good workman but not necessarily a specialist, isn't it?
Indeed.
When you got all this furniture out, Simon, and you were thinking, well, here we are, we've got the job now, and you looked at it and you started to realise that there was even more than you and I had feared. Did you go through moments of really black despair, or did you think, oh, shrug your shoulders and get on with it? How did you cope?
I'm still in a moment of black despair, Tom.
Well, you don't look like it to me. You're looking at this lovely work you've done.
I haven't started the planking yet. I mean, we're halfway through.
Yeah.
It's become a huge project, yeah, for sure. But good days, bad days. Some days you come and you sit here and you think, oh, I've done a lot today. I've got to stick some planks on there, but of pain, we'll be going sailing. And then you know that there's 4 days in this metal work. We
were both hoping that the rot would have stayed out of the planking.
Sure.
It has crawled in there a bit, has it?
It's in a few places, yeah.
So we're going to have some planks off. You're going to have to do that.
I think we originally spoke at 1 or 2, maybe.
I mean, if you had 5 years to do this in and a home to live in, you'd be fine, wouldn't you?
You'd be like Valshida at the end of it.
Yeah, you'd be quids in. But unfortunately, your back's against the wall because you've got these guys wanting to put boats in front of you and jam you in. You've got the boat drying out, sitting here when she should be in the water. Yeah. You've got us lot snapping at your heels. Poor old you. So you're under a lot more pressure than you might have been. But on the other hand, you want to go sailing, don't you? You want to go sailing. At the moment, Keryl won't be sailing anywhere. And I was conscious that Simon was deeply aware of his responsibilities to get this boat on the water again. But at what cost? It's going to be all you can do, the way I see it, to get these frames back in, to get the boat sound and watertight and painted and back in by the end of by the time we all turn into pumpkins in the middle of August. I think you're going to be pressed to do even that, but I'm so impressed with the discipline that you've applied to the project that I think if anybody can do it, you're the man. You might get there, I think, but I think I'm throwing down the gauntlet really, Simon, because I think you're going to have to speed it up a bit somehow. What I would say is this, and this from my own experience, which is hard won, the richness of the time you're going to have sailing this boat over the years is not comparable with the experience that's going to be had by somebody who goes to a boat show and spends £120,000 on a fiberglass yacht that is going to be put in the water, he's going to step on it, write a load of cheques and go sailing. You are intimately involved with this boat, you've poured yourself into this boat, and so have other people, and you've bought in with more than money. So, go for it.
No, good words, Tom. Cheers.
There will be no let-up for Simon on this kind of project. And before the final onslaught, it's important he takes some time out. This is the best advice I could give anyone.
Leave her alone for a day. I've got a lot of good friends over in Lymington, which is quite a way away, and I'm really out of touch with everybody at the moment because I've just kept myself here working as hard as I can. You've got to stop occasionally.
So with this in mind, Simon decides to take a well-earned trip to the Isle of Wight on his mate Mark's boat. It's a fascinating thing to consider what this project must be doing to Simon's life. Everything is concentrated on the boat. Goodness knows what's happening in his private life. He hasn't said too much to us about that. He's living in the yard, he's there on the boat, he's sleeping surrounded by all the grot and the grunge which goes with a job like this. The only shaft of sunlight, really, must be when he looks forward into that beautiful section of the boat that we've seen. Maybe that's what's keeping him sane. But my goodness, his life's not his own. It's given over to this boat. But in the end, that's going to enrich his life so much when the boat gives it back to him that he's going to have a huge smile on his face. Simon has got 1 month to complete this project. Now he has to replace the planking, re-step the mast and anti-foul and paint the hull. The question is, will he be able to complete the work before the end of summer?
I'm quite certain she'll float again. I'd just like to do it at the time.